3 days from now, I was supposed to walk down the aisle in this dress. Lambert swore he'd stand with me at the Temple of the Moon, place a ring on my finger, before the entire clan. He wanted everyone to know the truth. I was never some stray child Leilani took in. I was his chosen bride. But fate had other plans. I will never get to wear this wedding gown. 3 days before I was to become a bride, I turned myself into a killer. My father taught me all his skills, gave me an exquisite dagger, and held nothing back. The entire pack doted on me and treated me like a precious treasure. I kept telling myself that one day I would repay everything they had given me. And so, 3 days before the wedding, I personally slaughtered thousands of members of my entire family. I severed my father's and mother's heads, flayed their skin, and made it into a coat. I severed my father's and mother's heads, flayed their skin, and made it into a coat. People say a lone girl couldn't take down hundreds of lives. They're right. It was never just hundreds.
Leah! Drop your beard now!
He ordered me to surrender. But this dagger, pure silver, hand-picked by my father Bob, was his only treasure, fit for his favourite daughter. Oh. And I prepared a far more memorable gift for him. My mother Leilani, my father Bob. Now they can be together. For all eternity. Everyone will demand to know my motive. I'll tell them someday. But not tonight. Tonight, I only want to memorize their faces, the last glance my mother gave me, the last time my father called her name. And Lambert, no, I won't think of him tonight. He's here. The man I was supposed to marry has come. To see exactly what kind of cold-blooded monster his fiancée is.
Liar.
His very presence torments me more than any torture. Tribal court, the highest authority, below the Alpha. It hasn't convened in years. Its last trials, a treasonous general, then a lunar candidate who poisoned the clan. To them, I am no less a traitor.
Lila, do you plead guilty to the crimes you have committed?
Guilty? I've never considered what I did a crime.
How do you justify slaughtering the entire Blackwood household? Your own parents, your 8 elder brothers. How do you explain such atrocity?
There's no justification. I simply wanted to do it.
What was the reason for this madness?
Do you have any gratitude left in you? When you first shifted and burned with fever, who saved you? Lady Leilani? Your mother?
Yes. If only she'd fallen into a hunter's trap in that marsh, broken and disfigured, I could have saved myself all that trouble. It was exhausting.
I only spoke the truth. Leilani screamed for hours that night, long enough to wear me out, but I didn't stop. I heard every last cry, just as she once listened to mine.
Devil.
Thank you for the compliment.
They call me cold-blooded. I call myself kind. I sent every servant to keep my family company in the afterlife.
Alpha sent someone over. It's Mr. Lambert.
I know who you are. Few in this castle may interrupt this trial, and fewer still can make me tremble. I was to marry him in 3 days. Now he stands in the courtroom at my trial. I know not if he comes to save me, or watch me perish. Yet one thing is sure. His seeing me like this cuts deeper than any lash or flaying wound.
Liar.
I told myself it was only the bitter dungeon cold, not him. I'm not waiting. I just haven't returned his coat yet. Right. He promised me fresh air, and he never breaks his word. News outruns the cage horses. Before dawn, crowds gathered with rotten fruit, hoisting kids to watch.
Lady Leanna traded her jewels for grain and saved our whole family!
Sir Bob
You
spent his own
monster!
coin to build shelter for rogues, and his kindness was wasted on a viper like you! Tear her to pieces! Feed her to the beasts!
It's okay. I don't blame you. Good and evil feel the same when stripped bare.
Miss Liar, everyone says you've gone mad, but was the coachman you killed Moorcock the one who kept—
Not only him. There was also the gardener who preyed on rogue girls, and the cook who poisoned the town well.
What is your name?
Niall.
Niall. Don't let anyone see you talking to me.
Someone remembers what those
Get
good
back,
people
boy.
did
This
to
witch
us
is for the
rogues.
gallows.
I thought all forgot. I take back what I said before. I am waiting for him. "30 lashes. He took them all for me."
It's all right. It hurt far less than I expected. The trial resumes tomorrow. You promised you'd tell me the truth. I won't pressure you, but I will wait. 30 blances, 300 blances. I have endless patience when it comes to you.
"But Lambert, I cannot give you the truth you crave, because if I do, you will become the next me." I promised them I'd tell the truth today. After 30 lashes, I never thought I'd lie again.
Lila, you said you would give a full confession today.
Yes.
Then begin. Tell us, why did you kill them?
I hated them. Not for what they did to me, but for what they did to my mother.
14 years. I waited 14 years to say this out loud.
Your mother, Lady Leilani, she raised you as her own blood.
Leilani is not my mother. My mother was Evelyn. Before Bob met Leilani, he was already married to her.
Before Bob enlisted, my mother was pregnant with me. He promised he would come back for us, but he never did. 14 years later, he sent men to slaughter my mother's entire family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins.
The whole village. I was the only one left alive.
Even if what you say is true, Leilani took you in, gave you noble status. Why did you kill her in such a cruel way?
Because Leilani found out I was pregnant. Lambert's child. Leilani hit my stomach with a wooden stick herself.
Then they called all the male servants. The eldest son, Marcus, started a bet on how many men it would take for the unformed life inside me to be lost. I was stuffed into the silver vessel and locked away for 4 years, until my body matched the age they claimed I was.
And no one could ever doubt I wasn't Leilani's real daughter.
So, I killed them. All of them. This is my confession.
I told them part of the truth today. Enough to shake them, but not enough to make them believe. The real truth, I haven't told them yet. Tomorrow, they will call the shaman. He will confirm the silver vessel, but some things I will never say. Like how Bob, after violating me, screamed my mother's name, Evelyn. I've cried enough. Time to focus on what matters.
Send Lambert here. I have something to say to him.
His 30 back lashes haven't scabbed yet. He can barely get out of bed tonight. It's better this way. The longer he rests, the more sober he'll be. Getting involved with a murderer is foolish.
Mila, have you heard? Mr. Lambert went to see the Alpha this afternoon. He offered to give up his noble status and become a rogue just to spare your life.
The Alpha was furious and rejected him on the spot. The elders jointly asked to revoke his heir status, but he refused to back down. The Alpha ordered another lashes. One more thing. The judge ordered the shaman to appear in court tomorrow to examine the silver jar and the brand on your neck.
The shaman, he's the one who made that silver jar. He's coming, and that's fine. Let him come. Let him see what kind of daughter the cage he built with his own hands has trapped.
I heard you were looking for me. Those 30 lashes were nothing. The second 30's lashes also nothing. 60 lashes to save your life, this price is cheap to me.
You're hopelessly stupid.
Maybe.
I plead guilty, but I have conditions. You must not do anything for me anymore. No pleading, no taking lashes for me, no giving up anything. Promise me. Otherwise, I won't say a word.
Okay.
Tomorrow in court, I'll tell the truth. I'm not Leilani's daughter, nor Lila Blackwood. I'm Lila Evelyn, trapped in a silver jar for 4 years. I mentioned Evelyn. They'll question Bob. My father saved by my family, he left at my birth, then returned with soldiers. It was winter, 22 years ago. Bob was starving to death. It was my grandfather, Owain, who found him. Grandfather bled into soup to feed him. Werewolf blood saves kin at life's risk. My mother nursed him 3 days. His first words.
I have no home.
Then you have one now.
This is all our savings. Take it and join the army in Blackwood.
I can't take this.
Use that life to build an unbullied tomorrow for my daughter and my grandson. I will come back. When I become an officer, I will come to pick you up and our child.
Don't say any more.
He left. Mother watched him vanish past the snowline that morning, never knowing he'd never return.
Moon goddess hiding in the clouds, shine on my child.
Evelyn! Have you heard? Bob, your husband, has become an officer in Blackwood. He even married the Alpha's sister.
I know. It's okay. Our Lila only needs her mother.
She never acknowledged him, yet hid his unfinished coat that night. They sheltered and blessed Bob with everything they had. In return, he wiped out their family and village completely. Today, I said Evelyn's name, in court, in front of everyone, my real mother. They asked me what kind of person Evelyn was. I didn't answer. It wasn't that I didn't want to speak. It was fear that once I opened my mouth, I wouldn't be able to stop. But if tomorrow is my death day, then tonight, I want to remember her once again. Her name is Evelyn. She has a scar on her face, but her smile is beautiful. She is my mother.
Hold still. This dress is almost done. By the Moon Festival, our Lila is going to even be more stunning than the Moon Goddess herself.
When I was little, I asked her how she got the scar. She said it was a stray cat that scratched her. Later I found out that stray cat was the hunter's whip. She blocked it for Bob, and it left a permanent scar on her. She was 15 then.
Mommy, when is Daddy coming back?
He's not coming back, but that's okay. Mommy and the family are here.
She's right. I really don't need a father. I have a grandmother. She makes wild vegetable soup for me. I have a grandfather. He lets me ride on his shoulders to pick fruit. I have older cousins. They take me climbing trees and fishing. I have an uncle. He makes toys for me. Auntie braids my hair. She never asked anything of me. She didn't ask me to succeed or to make her proud. She only ever said one thing. Lila, just survive. Tomorrow, they'll interrogate me again. They'll ask more about Bob, the man my whole family saved. And tomorrow, I'm going to tell everyone exactly how he repaid that kindness. I told Bob's survival tale yesterday. Now the village's doom. Not a single day goes by that I don't dwell on this question. 14 years of thinking, and still no answer. All I remember is that night. She said when the moon is full, all the scattered souls will come home. She was wrong. That night, Mother was sewing clothes while I pretended to be asleep. I waited for her to finish the last stitch, knowing she would come and kiss my forehead. That was the last time. She asked nothing, said nothing. The moment she heard the first blood-curdling scream, she just knew they had come.
Lila. Survive.
I saw it. I saw every single detail. They were Blackwoodsmen, Ledsmen, sent by the one my grandfather nourished with blood, and my mother sacrificed herself to save. That night, I lost my entire world. 14 years have passed. I dream of her every night. I dream of her saying, survive. When my mother taught me how to fold clothes, she said patched fabric should be placed on top, otherwise the stitches would get pressed apart. I put hers on top. Like folding a newly sewn blouse, I dug all night. 8 out of my 10 fingers are rotten. Buried my maternal grandfather, maternal grandmother. Can't finish burying. I did not look back. I knew that if I did, I would go back to lie beside her and burn to ashes with her. But I heard her saying Lila, stay alive. So, I did not look back. I walked away. They say that surviving is a kind of luck. They don't know surviving is the greatest punishment for me. Because those who are alive have to watch the people they love the most die again in every dream. I don't know where to go. I just know I can't stop. Stop, and you'll want to go back, lie down next to her, and burn to ashes with her. I thought they would kill me, like killing my grandfather, like killing my uncle.
Take it back, and make it a new toy for Leilani the girl.
I recognized him at first glance. Bob, the man my mother waited for all her life. At that time, I didn't know, because the nightmare has just begun.
Is this the same child?
Yes.
She looks quite a bit like you. Unfortunately, she's too thin. It's okay, baby. If you raise it, you'll gain weight. Now that you're in our home, we must have a little gift for you.
She refers to him as the welcome gift. I kept calling for Mom, Grandpa, Uncle, and all the departed, yet no one came. He called out her name. When he let that man defile me, he uttered my mother's name.
She is just like her mother.
That was the last time I ever cried. From that day on, my tears died forever. I thought they had won, and that nothing worse could ever come, only to realize they hadn't even started yet.
Still alive. Continue.
Continue.
My throat could no longer utter a sound. I could only open my mouth, like a fish left gasping on the bank. On the third day, I felt something moving inside my stomach.
Still alive.
Like her mother.
When he said those words, Leilani looked off. I knew she hated that name even more than I did. They're betting how many men, how many blows it will take to end the unborn life in my womb. But that child is tougher than all of them.
Father, Mother, I like this little sister.
Fine. Just leave it be.
I didn't know where they were taking me. Later, I found out it was that silver jar.
No, no!
In the first year, I thought I would go crazy. It's not a metaphor. I'm truly going mad. I've started seeing my mother, my grandfather, and my uncle in the dark.
You're looking at her again.
I'm not.
You come every night. Do you think I don't know?
Little one, do you hear me? Your father comes to see you every single night, not to see his 8 sons. It's because you're looking more and more like your mother.
She's right. I've noticed it too. My chin is becoming more and more like my mother's, and my eyes are increasingly resembling hers. Slowly, I've learned to draw a map in my mind. I've memorized every vent of the silver jar, each one's position, size, and the direction of the light passing through.
I've counted. You've come 321 times in total. Every word you say outside, I hear clearly in here, including the name Bob whispers every time you leave.
But I kept it to myself.
It's almost done.
Welcome home, Lila.
He said, "Welcome home." I close my eyes and swallow the darkness into my stomach. But I knew 4 years. The knife is sharpened. They washed me and put me in new clothes. Well done. My hair was combed the way my mother used to comb it. They led me to the hall and announced to everyone, "This is the beloved youngest daughter of Mr. Bob and Miss Leilani."
A beautiful child. She surely has a blessed look about her.
Imprisonment is called giving you status. Torture is called giving you affection. And my mother, the woman with a scar on her face, who never hurt anyone in her life, her name was no longer worth mentioning. That night, I returned to my room. It was large, with a soft bed. I lay on it as if in someone else's grave. I stayed in that silver jar for 4 years. After I came out, everyone said Miss Leilani raised her little daughter so well. No one knew. No one wanted to know. Inside that little daughter's heart still lay the last words of her mother, "Lila, stay alive." I survived. I made it. Now it's their turn.
My sweet little girl.
My little daughter, are you feeling better today?
She calls me my little daughter, with such ease. I almost fall for it too.
Your fever broke me. I prayed 3 days. Knees scarred.
She's right. She does have a scar on her knee. But it was never for me. She begs the moon goddess to atone for her unborn child, yet denies it's her fault toward me. She claimed to the clan she risked the swamp and knelt for me. Everyone wept, praising her devotion to me. She entered the swamp for her sin, not me.
Wearing only a...
That night, I sat on the bed, lost in thought. That night, I lay in bed, lost in thought. Leilani knelt at the temple, atoning for her sins. When Bob said, "Let her be like her mother," he meant mine. The 8 brothers gambled on how long my unborn child would last. Everyone fed their greed, at the cost of my life. I was young then, no weapon, no strength, nothing. But I learned to wait. Let the silver jar harden my bones. Let time still my tears. Let them take me for a tame lamb. They know nothing. I have learned well. Those who have waited long enough never tremble when they kill. Voice cracks, then turns cold at once. He still murmurs her name. 14 years later, he wiped out her family, flayed her face, left her to beasts. Married another, fathered 8 sons, grew powerful and respected. Yet he still keeps her letters. Tomorrow they'll call me their little daughter, with smiles. Leilani will pat my head, saying she knelt herself raw for me. Bob will touch my shoulder and ask about my philosophy class. I'll smile and play along. Once the Welsh drug is ready, I need never smile again.
The good will be blessed by heaven, and the evil will eventually devour themselves. Read.
That book was his greatest treasure, a gift from the Alpha honor, status, and proof of his rise from rogue. He read it daily, always lingering at the page beside my mother's name. He never struck my face,
Lyra.
calling it crude and savage. He only beat my body, hidden beneath my clothes.
You're doing wonderfully, Lila. Far better than the brothers. They refuse to listen to any of this. They think strength of arms and bloodline matter more than knowledge. But you're different. Lila, you must listen to me. The fate of our family rests on your shoulders. You must make the right choice.
He spoke my mother's name before me, before the book that bore her name. She stepped in, her expression flicking not with rage, but a colder calm. Her gentlest smile always hid her deadliest intent.
Darling, you've forgotten. Told you long ago to burn all these old things.
That night, Leilani burned my mother's last letter. Bob said he'd wait for me to see your kindness and dignity. No need. I knew it all along. Kindness. Mother broken, silent, unyielding. Dignity. Grandfather fell. Pike in hand. Shard on its tip. He waits not for me to understand, but to watch me turn into a stranger. That day is close.
You love his book, don't you? Pity. Learn as you may, you only raise a docile daughter of him. At heart, you're just a living souvenir.
A souvenir, she was right. I am Mother's last legacy. But they forgot. Souvenirs grow, remember, and wait. Even a souvenir can turn into a weapon.
Stop! That's mine! Whoever seizes it gets it.
Get out of my way!
Interesting. You now have a scar on your face. Come with me. It's this exact line. Exactly the same.
He stared at my mother. The scar's angle, length, and curve matched the one Evelyn took for him from the whip at 15. Leilani called her 6 sons to the basement and beat them one by one. She lashed them with a whip for 3 days and 3 nights. Not because she felt sorry for me, but because that afternoon, Bob absent-mindedly called out my mother's name right in front of her. This scar is their twisted fondness. Leilani touches it, praising me, a switch, to keep her smile fake. This we both bear scars. She sheltered, I suffered. Her mark lingered long. Love is hurt here, their love is wrath. My time nears.
Good morning, my little daughter.
That was her game. She asked if my face hurt not out of care, but to remind me of scars. I remember all, and every scar will be avenged.
Don't be afraid, sister. It's very well behaved. It acts properly once it's full.
He said, when you're full, you'll be good. I knew he must have fed it something. Otherwise, it wouldn't have started drooling on the floor as soon as it saw me.
Stand up. Straighten your clothes. Why doesn't she say anything? She is shy and timid around strangers. And we are getting ready to head back. I have read Mr. Bob's paper published in Oath Codex of the Lunar Deity. He mentioned his daughter's insights in single motion. He was what Mr. Archer observes in theatre. This is for you. It was written by the last Luna. Notes on lunar phases and tidal observations.
Next time you come to the castle, if you like, there's a telescope in the library tower. It's easier to observe star tracks than from the ground.
No one has ever asked me what I'm really looking at when I gaze at the moon. No one has ever thought I'm even worthy of being asked. Every time he comes, he brings books with him. When he talks about the stars, his eyes light up. Not the kind of light that makes me want to cry. The kind that makes me want to live a little longer. He stepped out of the library. Father waited at the corridor's far end. He bowed. Once he left, Father glanced at me in the corner. His eyes held something deeper curiosity. That night, Father beat me half an hour longer, this time with a book. Alone in the dark, I took one step toward him.
Lila, there's something I've thought about for a long time.
Stop talking. Whatever my answer is, it will destroy you.
I've always wondered what you're thinking about every time you gaze at the stars. Later I realized I just want to know who you're looking at. I wish that person were me.
Moonstone. He once said, moonstones suit my eyes best.
Marry me.
What is he doing? Does he even know who he is kneeling to? Does he know how many people have touched my body?
I know what you're afraid of. You're afraid you're not good enough. You're afraid everything from your past will taint me. In this vast universe, my heart has found its home in you. Will you do me the honor of being my wife?
He said I could be myself. I was always forced to fit others' roles, a living keepsake. Only he saw the real me.
Lila.
Stalinamet visits it frequently these days. The little girl has learned to hide things.
I knew this joy wouldn't last, but I accepted it anyway. I just wanted to be his star, if only for a moment. I'm wearing it. The wedding dress I thought was just a hallucination. It glows in the sunlight, not the color of blood, but the color of the moon. He said this time, everyone will know I'm not some stray rogue Leilani picked up. I'm his chosen bride. This is the first bouquet I've ever received in my life.
Do you want to look?
I see it. Not with my eyes, but with something deeper.
Do you know? The first time I saw you was not in the garden. It was in an astronomer journal.
Lambert, if one day you realize I am not the person you imagined, if you find my past unbearable to know, would you regret it?
I have one regret, but it is never meeting you. I regret that the first time I saw you, I didn't take you away from that garden. So I will never regret you. My only fear is that because I wasn't fast enough, you might stop waiting for me.
He's waiting for me. Not for me to grow up, not for me to become better. He's just waiting for me to trust him. They were here. Mother, you said when the moon is full, all the lost ones come home, but my moon has never been whole. 3 days before the wedding, the well water will turn sweet. This is a kind of floral sap. It can turn a person's face beyond recognition within 3 days.
Come here, my little girl, she said, comb your hair.
The last time she said combing hair, there was a needle hidden in the tip of the silver comb teeth. I don't know what medicine was soaked in the needle.
What's wrong? Do you have any pain?
You said, does Mr. Lambert know? His fiancé, after all, is someone who has been with so many men.
Wow, here comes the future Luna. You're dressed pretty nicely.
They didn't know. I remembered every word. I memorized their seats. Who spoke first? I remembered which hand, sixth brother, used to tear my dress, his favorite. I took my time cutting it off later. 3 days before the wedding, the well water turned sweet. Father taught me, always nail the dose. Not enough, they survive. Too much, too swift. The difference between knockout drug and poison is his proudest perfection of precision.
3 days. I have 3 days. 3 days from now, every single one of them will feel every bit of the pain my mother felt, wide awake.
I have confessed everything. The 4 years in the silver jar, Bob's secret, and Leilani's truth at the temple are all laid bare. They fell silent, not out of belief, but shock that the couple they revered all their lives hid another dark side.
You've endured all these years, and you're only one step away from becoming Luna. Why not wait until after the wedding?
She asked why I didn't wait till the wedding. I've wondered countless times waking to Leilani's needle, suffocating under Bob's damp paper, chained in the basement by my brothers. I planned to wait, to become Luna after the wedding, gain power, and avenge my mother 100 times over. I waited, day by day, a wolf lying in ambush. But they gave me no chance. After the engagement, Bob threatened my grandfather's family to silence me. My brothers humiliated me, intent on ruining me for the wedding.
Where did you get the drug?
This is the question I've awaited most, more than why I killed them.
Only dosage separates sedatives from poison. I leave them paralyzed but aware. My father Bob taught me precision, and I killed him with it.
The well was exclusive to the family. I only drugged the servants into sleep. They woke to everything over. I harm no innocent. I am nothing like them. In my final days in the dungeon, I learnt Niall was taken in by the rogue camp elder. I killed them, learned the potion from my father's books, poisoned the well, and flayed them myself. I plead guilty. Judge me as you will, only let it end quickly. Verdict comes tomorrow. My tale spreads across Blackwood City, whispered and wept over in secret. Mother, your youngest daughter will soon be with you. Heaven or hell, wherever I go, I shall keep this coat with me. They fell silent, not for my guilt, but knowing the cursed devil was another woman's daughter.
Lila, before the verdict, you have one last word. Anything to say?
I plead guilty. I seek no mercy.
I only ask for one thing.
Speak.
After death, I wish to see my family and everyone in the village.
Do the dead reunite? My lifelong wish to see her again.
Evelyn, my mother, scarred but lovely, her only wish, live.
Lila,
I tried.
you killed my sister. I loved her, yet never knew her. You only wished to see your mother. I can't forgive for Evelyn. But if... guard souls to their beloved. May the moon goddess forgive us all.
She gave me her badge. Never mind. I'll take it. Tomorrow's verdict comes. I fear no death. I knew my fate when I poisoned the well. I only fear never finding her. Mum told me, full moon brings the lost home. That night the moon was full, but she never came. Bade. Now I'll go to her.
Mom, I'm here. Your youngest girl is all grown up.
He's here. Pine balm, same as Bob's. Hiding medicine. Never cooked a day, yet kept frying fish for me, till its tail turned black. Fake death potion, taints wine with sediment.
Is this the last meal?
Bob taught me, skill lies in precision, not force.
Just want to treat you to a good meal.
Father, I've mastered all your teachings. I see his plan. Drink, fake death, escape. He'd sacrifice all for me.
Lambert. Don't come tomorrow. I'm not begging. I'm warning you. Come, and I'll hate you deeply.
I ate it all. Burnt tail, and all. His last gift. I let him be, at peace. I learnt to vomit up liquor while drunk. For 6 years, I resisted all potions Leilani forced on me, spitting out every poison and drug. Now, for the first time, I threw away the medicine meant to keep me alive. He aims to die for me, not save me. Taking the potion will destroy him, abandoning forced chances to live. As always, execution day arrives. I never told him. I almost drank that wine yesterday, wishing to pretend nothing happened. I'd planned to send him away. I'd already told him not to come back tomorrow.
I forgot to ask. Are you still in pain?
Yet he returned anyway, just to ask if I was hurting. Fine. Since you insist on staying, I'll make you let go.
Sit here.
Make you stop coming, forget me, and live peacefully ever after.
My grandfather Owen was the village's bravest and strongest hunter. Able to carry a full stag alone, he would still me near his shoulders picking wild fruits. My grandmother Mara made fragrant wild herb soup that drew all village children to our door. Still, she always saved the first bowl for me, saying I was frail and needed nourishment. Uncle Ian, the carpenter, was frugal toward his own children, yet used his finest wood to make gifts for me. Kind Aunt Saren sewed new clothes for me from Leffer factory. Tell me blue suited me as it did my mother. My cousins Kai and Ed were my best friends. They took me to play outdoors, and we kept fireflies to intellect nocturnal lamps.
I talked till tired, telling him all about my loved ones and their love for autumn. The fruitful village was blessed by the moon goddess. I leaned weakly against him, letting my guard fall.
I believe that somewhere we could live a peaceful life. I think we could go there together. Would you come for me? Riding your black carriage through woods with your star book, just to seek me out?
Leaning on his shoulder, old memories flooded back.
You should leave now. All tales of my family were made up. You know, I'm skilled enough to deceive even clan judges.
Those warm memories are real. I lied only to push you away, hiding my fragility. At tomorrow's dawn, I shall lie no longer. I found my tale rewritten as a novel, hand-copied and spread across Blackwood City, many finishing it overnight. I wonder why people care for a killer's story. They read not of me, but Evelyn, Owain, and all unspoken names. They grieve Evelyn's unseen dying child.
In your next life, may you have a good family!
Thank you for your wish. I bore endless cruel names, yet someone wished me a warm next life. If rebirth exists, I long to stay Evelyn's daughter, Owain's grandchild, that village girl, keeping old sweet days, and wish that fateful moon never rose.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
Mother, the sky is beautiful today.
Why, Lila, why?
Perhaps this is my fate. May you have a bright future. May your world never have someone like me again. Mother, I'm coming.
I hid the fake death potion. He'd sacrifice himself to save me, having long given all for me. Thus I chose for him. I saw it. His tears are warm. Fool, why are you crying when it's all over? He takes me home. I bring Lambert to meet all my kin. He knows you all, and you'll adore him. He dug with hands that had never touched soil. I wanted to tell him it didn't need to be deep. I didn't need much space, but I couldn't speak. A noble heir, kneeling in these ruins, writing his love on the stone for a murderer. Is he a fool? His old wounds split open after carrying me such a long way, yet he never uttered a single groan. He started to build the house, the warm wooden house I once casually talked about. I only mentioned it casually, yet he remembered every single detail deeply in his heart. He never wore it, just took it out to watch every dusk, afraid this precious memory would slip away.
I adopted a little girl. She has no parents, just like you. I told her she has eyes that can gaze at stars. She asked what is on the stars. I told her there lives someone. She asked who that person is. I said, her name is Lila.
He left a place for himself, right beside me.
Alpha, your rogue equality decree sparked noble protest demanding its repeal. Rogues cannot shift, hence powerless and unworthy of clan rights, as decreed by the Moon Goddess.
The Moon Goddess did not set this order. You did.
Known rogues can't shift, yet they sacrifice warmth, blood, and even bear scars to help others. Let Parliament vote. Overturn the decree if majority agrees. But until then, the decree remains in effect.
Are you going to drive me away? I haven't ridden today, I can't sew. I'll leave I laughter after the win.
Why are you drawing this?
Because it's too dark at night. Draw a star, and I won't be afraid at night.
What's your name?
No name. They call me a bastard.
Then don't have one. Come with me.
He looked at her, as if seeing me.
That brightest one is the Moon Goddess's eye. What wish do you want to make?
I hope I morrow eat to Edion. You look at this notebook every day. Who drew the pictures in it?
Someone.
Where did she go?
A very far place. That girl is very smart, smarter than I thought. The day yesterday she asked me, why don't you go back to being the high and mighty Alpha? I said because someone told me that people should be themselves. She said that person must be very powerful. I said, yes.
I held you back, not your fault. Run far, gaze starlight, leave grief behind.
You have come of age. According to the will of the late Lord Lambert, are you willing to inherit the Alpha position and become the leader of the Blackwood Pack?
I accept, but I have one condition. From now on, outcast children enjoy equal education.
All cities build inclusive schools with anonymous star journals inside. This is not a request, it's an order.
The girl has grown up. She draws flawless stars, always adding a faceless figure beside them, writing, waiting for her return.
Parliament is squabbling again over rogue university admission spots. They say I've done enough. I haven't. I need to secure supervision. That kid is just as stubborn as you are.
You went to the cemetery again today? Have you forgotten the fever you had last time?
She's all alone there. If I don't go, who will?
Where do you think we go when we die?
To become the wind. To become the rain.
Wow.
I have never caught up.
Bury me beside her. And that notebook. It's left in the library. A handwritten copy. One for every school.
Okay.
Tell her, that little girl, she doesn't need to draw the stars so lopsoe. She's already really good at it. Lila, can I catch up to you this time?
You gave me a home, which I now hold dear. I carry your legacy and come each full moon.
Hey, Lila. Did I catch up?
Caught up. Just a bit slow.
Sit down.
They can finally be together. This time, the moon is full. I don't know how long we've sat minutes or decades. Time means nothing here. Only, he's finally come.
Your lashes flutter like butterfly wings when you close your eyes.
Do you say this to every girl?
No, Lila. Only you.
You're back.
No more pain.
He said no pain, not sure if his back. But nothing hurts.
Lila, come here.
I'm going to meet the whole village.
Go now.
All wait for me, under the old oak tree. I've waited 14 years, and so have they. Now we wait together, at last.
Moon goddess hid in clouds, guide my child Olga.
Mother said, full moon brings parted souls home. She was partly right. We reunite, not to return, but to start anew, Lambert.
In the next life, would you still want to meet me?
I've lived, killed, loved, and perished. Now I merely live at last.
You branded me deep. You can never leave me.